right, so with a pink ball, a little release work to start today, standing. This is a great midday kind of release as well. If you're feeling tight at any point, kind of just take, this is a pink ball. You could do a tennis ball, might be a little bit tighter, but that's an option as well. Some of them I've seen in blue also, but it's just a dense sort of squishy ball. I'm going to bring it in my left hand up against a wall behind my right shoulder, and I'm just going to lean into it and kind of roll up and down. Now I like it between my scapula and my spine. So it's not really on a bone, it's kind of trying to get in and around my scapula into my shoulder. You can even kind of come high across the top of your shoulder. So two ways that we can kind of massage and try to release all of our tension, that sort of blockage or that stiffness that we feel in our body. You can roll up and down on the pink ball, just like this, or maybe you find a knot, you kind of hold it, and then you start to move your arm or your muscles around the ball, right? So kind of using it almost like a masseuse's heel of the hand and deepening that pressure into the knot to try to get it to relax. And at any point, if you need to kind of readjust, go ahead and do that. I'm feeling tighter. You might have noticed I'm starting to turn this way because I can get a little bit more into the upper traps. I even feel a little bit like I'm leaning into it, kind of creeping up towards my neck, not on my neck, but the muscles that run along the top of my shoulder. Oh, feels really good today, actually. It's kind of kneading it out. Oh. Again, maybe find one more move. We'll be on this just a couple more breaths. And then carefully come off of the pink ball on the right side. Now I've got it in my right hand. I'm going to bring it behind my left shoulder. And a little bit up and down. Now right away I feel tight in a different part on my left shoulder. It feels more of the center of the shoulder right there at the back, not quite the top. So start to play and explore. Maybe you go down towards the tip of your scapula and then back up towards your neck. You can find a spot, hold, and then massage by moving the arm, the scapula, flexing and extending those muscles around the pink ball. Maybe one side is way worse than the other, so maybe you want to stay like on your right side or stay longer on your left side. That's fine. Like if you kind of know your body and you realize that there's a knot that just will not let go. Maybe every now and then, like coming back to that spot, trying to sink into it, trying to get it to release. Kind of a couple different ways you can tackle that. Let's do two more breaths. And then carefully kind of releasing that, coming off. Set the pink ball out of the way. You can shrug those shoulders, just kind of see how that feels. And let's come down onto our backs. So grab your foam roller for lengthwise on the mat. Laying all the way down. Feel the weight of your head, spread of your rib cage, weight of your pelvis, nice and relaxed into the foam roller underneath you. Let's continue to open up our chest a little bit, right? Massaging the back hopefully got rid of some of that blockage that we feel. And now we're going to try to open the chest so that we can continue to sort of drop those shoulders back and down. I'm going to bend at my elbows and bring them to like goalpost arms beside me. Now, sometimes if we let them drop too far, we like suddenly pop our ribs up, or we might get some numbing or tingling, like pinching through our arm. So I'm going to keep them about my rib cage in line with my shoulders, right? So they're not going to fall too far back. And I'm just going to start to spiral my elbows down towards my waist and then my fingertips up towards my head. And I just want us to start to evaluate sort of what is that range of motion. Can you feel the scapula kind of glide as they pull, as the elbows draw down, your scapula kind of pinch down towards the center of your back. And then as your fingertips come up, the scapula kind of wing out and then back down. And just start to explore, what does that feel like today? Is there sort of a sticking point where you're like ka-kunk over that knot? If it's available to you, maybe start to stretch your arms longer, moving kind of into snow angels now. That could be a really big expression of the exercise. Lots of movement through your scapula. Check in with yourself real quick. Are your ribs popping up towards the ceiling as you reach your arms back so that you're in sort of like an open extension stretch? That's not quite what we want. We want to try to draw them down so you're really opening up kind of the underside of your armpits, your waist, your lats, spiraling. Let's do that just twice more. Spiraling. Ooh, and almost there. Last one. Spiraling up. If it feels good, interlace your fingers or grab like one wrist with the opposite hand. And now start to rock a little bit. And now you can let the ribs and the waist go. And I want you to kind of visualize that you're trying to knead your back into the foam roller underneath you. I'm almost kind of pulling my arms a little side to side too. So I'm really sort of getting that shearing motion. And last one each way. And settle. Open those arms out to a T. You're going to draw them up towards the ceiling. And then inhale. Exhale. Let's work on our breathing just a little bit here. Think of your arms kind of like mimicking what's happening. On that inhale, they expand and your chest, your lungs, your rib cage opens. And then exhale, your arms close and your rib cage and your lungs deflate. Inhale and exhale. 4 more. Inhale and exhale. Think inhale wide into the ribs, deep into the back of your lungs. And then exhale, drop that weight of your body deeper into the foam roller underneath you. Last 2. Almost there. Last 1. All the way up towards the ceiling. Let's protract and retract our scapula. So to protract, like you're going to push the scapula away from the center of your body. So they widen at the foam roller behind you. Now to retract, pull them back down as though they're kind of going to hug the foam roller underneath you. And go back and forth like that. Sliding and then melting and sliding and then melting. Another little cue that I feel as I reach up, I think that my rib cage is actually dropping down. So I have a little abdominal engagement there and then soften. Careful that you're not moving too much into your neck, right? Everything else stays relatively still. You're just gliding those scapula. Let's just do 2 more. And last one. And then soften and release. Wrap your arms around your rib cage, giving yourself a little hug. And then again, come back to kind of that spiraling. Right and left. Oh, kind of again, kneading your back into the foam roller. See what feels good. Let's do 1 more breath like that. And then slowly come through center, find your balance, releasing your arms, bring them down onto the mat beside you. I'm going to do palms facing down. And for me, I'm going to just try to kind of bring my hands, not my full arm. Everybody is going to be a little different depending on how much of a balance challenge you want, right? So keeping your fingertips soft if you want harder, or elbows, forearms down for a little easier. Stand into your left foot, draw your right leg to tabletop position, and then place it back down. And then the left, and place it back down. And start to just kind of dance, marching your feet. Don't worry too much about your hips right now. We will come back to them later. I want you to think a little bit of your spine, from the top of your head to your tailbone. How close are you to the foam roller underneath you? Are your shoulders starting to creep in towards your neck? Can you wrap them back and down and slide those fingertips away from you? Maybe you feel the spread of those scapula again, kind of the width of your shoulder line, right? And I feel like I'm going to try to keep my 12th rib down onto that foam roller. Pelvis is in neutral. We haven't played too much with it, so just kind of see how it feels on that foam roller right now. Bring your right leg up, hold, and the left leg to meet it, right? So just a little balance challenge, kind of waking up the whole body as it holds here. If you want, you can stay here or move to those toe taps. Alternating back and forth. Again, how light can you keep your fingertips if that's part of your challenge today, right? Keep those shoulders out of the ears. Slide the scapula towards your back pockets. Can you feel that heaviness in your rib cage still? Like it's going to drop down towards the foam roller underneath you. Let's do 4, 3, last 2, and 1. Carefully bring both feet back down. And then again, spiral. Swing your hips, your ribs, shoulders, whatever feels good. Kind of loosen it up. And melt. So from here, last little bit, let's move into a bridge exercise. So on the foam roller, sometimes I like bridge because it helps me feel where my spine is in space. You're not going to go as high as you might on the floor. But I do want us to focus on our shoulders just a little bit. So as you wrap those shoulders back and down, can you hug the foam roller underneath you? Just a little bit, right? So I'm drawing sort of back and in as though I'm really pinching the foam roller between my scapula, feet firmly planted. Keep the shoulders there. Start to curl the pelvis. That's it. And then release. So don't move your shoulders. Keep wrapping them back and down. Now for me, I'm still on my fingertips, right? And in this position, I do actually feel my triceps flexing ever so slightly. Really, as though I'm pushing energy down. Start to curl maybe just a little bit higher and then lay it back down. Now notice as you start to come up, you don't internally rotate those shoulders, but keep pulling them towards your back pockets, sliding them lengthwise on that foam roller. Maybe lifting a little higher each time. As you come up, again, careful that your shoulders do not change position. Keep sliding the fingertips away from you. Keep the sides of your neck long. So that as you lower, you might feel a point where those shoulders want to suddenly give up, right? So as you lower, sometimes they start to creep forward towards like the front of your body. That's not what we want. We want to try to pull them back and down. And feel that this articulation is coming from our abs and our waist, not our neck and our shoulders. Let's do that twice more. Standing into the feet. Check in with yourself at the top maybe. Can you wrap those shoulders back and down a little bit more? Reach through your fingertips and lay your spine down with ease. And think one vertebra at a time is connecting to the foam roller underneath you. And let that go. Little wobble right to left. Slowly roll off to one side. Come all the way down onto your back. Release the foam roller out from underneath you, kind of placing it out of the way. Just check in with yourself real quick. Now I feel like there was like a metal pole behind me and I just relaxed down onto the mat. But there's a real openness through my back now that feels really light and airy. It also feels soft on the mat underneath me. We're going to kind of keep reaching towards that sensation, keep running towards it, right? Find more of that sort of released and open state through our body. Carefully roll over to one side, bringing yourself all the way up. Next, let's move into the front of our shoulders, which is really helpful when it comes to computer work. This position is very popular, right? It's in vogue, and we can get really tight right here. So this is where we're going to try to open. So you're going to use the butt end of your foam roller, and you're going to use the edge of it to massage the inside kind of your pec into your armpit. Kind of like we did the pink ball at our back, we're going to use the foam roller at the front. So I'm going to lengthen it towards the left to apply to the right shoulder. I'm going to come down onto my chest. The foam roller, the edge of it, is going to come into sort of the eye of my shoulder. Not quite in my armpit yet. It's starting kind of like perpendicular beside me, and my right arm is going to reach forward. So in this position, everybody just move organically, kind of see what feels good for you. For me, I've got a little bit of pressure into my pec. I'm going to float my right arm off the mat, and that alone might be a little work, right? Depending on how strong our shoulders are or how tight our pec is. I'm going to start to circle my thumb down towards the floor as I reach the hand behind me. And I feel that my shoulder is turned into the foam roller, and it feels pretty good. And then I'm going to circle it back forward. And just start to see sort of like what feels good, circling it. Notice that the length of my foam roller is to the left. I'm not going over the foam roller. I'm really just massaging the end of it into the front of my shoulder. Last two. And last one. Reaching that all the way back forward. You can soften, spiral the foam roller just like a couple degrees up. And then again, the same thing. Now I'm threading the foam roller just a little bit deeper, kind of into my armpit, into those band of muscles that run along the front of my shoulder, right? Pec minor, spiraling. Your body can be soft, whatever is most comfortable for you. Lying there, try not to seize up in your low back. Pretty good. Last one. All the way back towards the front. Good. Now in this position, if you want a little deeper, I'm actually going to push my foam roller into my armpit just a little bit more. So now I'm actually more right in my armpit. And kind of massaging deeper into the shoulder. And same thing, little circle. Now on this side, I feel like I can't go as far back, and that's okay. There's a little bit more pressure right there into the front of my pec. Woo, that feels really good for me. Maybe soften everything down. Just let that shoulder try to drop into the foam roller, releasing any tension. Last two. Almost there, last one. All the way back up. While we're here on the side, let's turn to the right. We'll find a little bit of a side stretch. The foam roller is going to come more along your rib cage. Right arm is going to lengthen out, and we'll stretch up and over for just a quick release. Maybe take a couple breaths here. Yeah, if you'd like, you can even start to circle that arm. That's one of my favorites as well, just some gentle movement. Or if you'd like a really deep neck stretch as well, reach that arm up, internally rotate. Now be careful that the shoulder doesn't come with you. I actually want you to think kind of just your forearm is spiraling. And then you're going to thread the hand into the small of your back. And you're going to push ever so slightly into the small of your back as you roll that shoulder back and down. So think externally rotate your shoulder. Maybe turn your head down towards the floor. And then back towards me, and then down towards the floor. Oh, and how does that spiral sensation open up across the top of your shoulder, maybe even across your deltoid, maybe along the side of your neck, back through center, soften, carefully de-pretzel your arm, bringing it out. We'll push down into the foam roller to bring ourselves all the way back up. So we'll switch next and find our left pec. So now the foam roller is reaching towards the right side. I'm going to bring the edge of it into the front of my left shoulder. It's starting about perpendicular. Like it's right across from my chest. That left arm is going to reach. And then I'm going to start to circle it. And again, move, kind of be your own explorer, right? Where is the tension? Sometimes with foam roller work, we might have discomfort, right? Or we might wake something up and you're like, ooh, there's a knot there, or ooh, that's really tight. We don't want pain. We don't want numbing, and we don't want any kind of tingling sensation. So if you guys are experiencing any of that, come out of it, right? We may have gone too deep or positioned ourselves sort of precariously. Let's do 2 more like this. And last one. Bringing that arm back through the front, soften it. Spiral the foam roller now at an angle so you're threading it just a little bit more towards your armpit. I'm still at the front of my shoulder. And then circle those arms back. Yet again, kind of kneading the front of your shoulder, your pec minor, into the foam roller underneath you. Ooh. And then check real quick, how are sides different? Is one shoulder way tighter than the other? Is that your writing hand, or is it the other hand, right? Do you use it a lot? And last one. Reaching it back forward, thread the foam roller maybe a little bit deeper this time. So now I'm almost in my armpit. And I'm going to drop the weight of my shoulder into that foam roller. And I can't go as big on this side. I'm also starting to feel the back of my shoulder fatiguing. Like it's harder to pick my arm up because I'm working the back of my shoulder, strengthening those muscles we used the pink ball to release earlier, right? Again, maybe soften your head. Let's do 2 more. And last one. Reaching that all the way back forward, and soften. And turn towards me on your left side. Foam roller is going to come kind of underneath your rib cage. Left arm is reaching. I like my bottom leg kicked forward and the top leg kicked back. And then stretch. And take a big inhale. I like to visualize a rainbow in my left waist. So I'm really sort of picking that side of my body up to stretch from my right heel all the way to my right pinky finger. You can stay here if you'd like, or maybe if it felt good on the other side, we'll thread our hand. So again, careful you don't internally rotate your shoulder. We just opened it up, right? So keep it back and down and think you're kind of just spiraling your forearm, threading the hand into the small of the back. Check in with yourself again. Roll that shoulder back and down. And let's check on the tightness on this side. How does it feel? Similar, different, easier? Maybe you have more range of motion. You can spiral the head if that felt good. So for me, I have less tension in my neck on this side. The other side, as I would turn, I would feel more stretch along the back of my neck. So this side, there's less. And I'm just kind of more opening through my shoulder. Last one. Back through center, carefully deep pretzel that arm. Let's take one more big stretch. Up and over towards the left, finding that rainbow in your waist. And exhale, pressing yourself all the way back up. We're going to flip real quick. We're going to come to kneeling. So if you need to double up on your mat, go ahead and do that. Our hands are going to be on the foam roller, so we can't use that as a prop under our knees. But if you're lucky enough to have 2, maybe you put that one underneath your shins. So we're kind of going to move through a slinky spine. The foam roller is going to be in front of us, just in proximity. Our hands will come down to it in a moment. The arms are going to reach up, and we're going to take a nice big stretch up towards the ceiling. Now lift the abdominals. Start to pour yourself forward. Think of a bridge exercise here. How do you curl the wheel of your pelvis towards you? Hands are going to find the foam roller, and you're going to start to walk it out as you drop your heart down towards the floor and stretch open again underneath your armpits through the waist. Let's start to round kind of back and forth just a little bit. Inhale to extend, exhale to flex. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. And I call it a slinky because I visualize my body kind of like the coils of a slinky. Stretch them open and then flex them. Last one, stretching them open, reach, stay here if it feels good. Start to shift your hips to the left. And then maybe back up, shift your hips to the right. Kind of start to wiggle your tail. Just see what feels good. Let's do once more each way. Kind of trying to loosen the ribs at the back of your body, the low ribs, and then curl. And start to stack it all the way back up, releasing that back and down. Whew. Carefully come to seated on your mat. So coming to seated real quick, just for one final breath. You can sit diamond, you can sit crisscross if you want. Another great option, which I maybe might take today. Grab your foam roller and sit on your foam roller. That one feels a little bit better. My hips are a little tight today, so this feels like it's allowing for a little bit more openness. Let's just take a nice easy breath. I want us to think about inhaling deep into the pelvis, wide into the sides of our body, and shallow up to our collarbones. 4 counts to inhale and 4 counts to exhale. Inhaling and exhaling. And last one, inhaling and exhaling. And soften. Breathe naturally. Thank you so much. That's class.